Good morning. It is Wednesday, y'all. Wednesday, the 5th of June, 2024. I hope you are having a good week. It is the middle of the week already. Praise the Lord. Looking forward to the weekend. And yeah, just looking forward to having a weekend off. I say that, I'm busy. I have a lot of stuff going on. And, between working, church stuff, ministry stuff, spending time with my wife, very busy. Praise the Lord for everything I have. Praise the Lord for things I don't have. There are some things I don't have that I'm glad I don't have anymore. Like struggling with certain sins that I struggled with in the past. Praise the Lord, I don't have that problem. Still struggle. There's still some sins that everybody struggles with something, but some that sins I struggled with in the past, I'm glad I don't struggle with anymore. So praise the Lord for that. I had a good night at truck stop last night. Actually talked to a driver for about a little over an hour. So thankful for that opportunity. And me and that driver, man, we had a good talk. And saved guy, but Lord helped open his eyes to refocus some things. So I'm praising the Lord for that opportunity. It's one thing to lead somebody to Christ. Praise the Lord, somebody gets saved. But when you minister to somebody with somebody, and you help them with something they're struggling with as a Christian, it's a blessing too. Everybody's like, oh, you lead anybody to Christ? No, I don't always do. In fact, it's very few and far between anymore. But I do get to still minister. As a preacher, I minister. And what a blessing to have that opportunity. So thankful that I'd love to have more opportunity to do that. And I pray the Lord somehow I'm financially able one day to be able to be full-time ministry work again. Right now it's just part-time. But, speaking of things, I went through a lot in my life. I've had a lot of things going on. And things that I've went through have helped me to be a more effective minister to others. And that's what we're going to look at with Paul today. Paul, we just get wrapped up about living of the gospel, how we are supposed to support Bible-believing preachers and missionaries and evangelists financially. Paul didn't abuse that, even though I'm sure he did get some support, but he didn't want that to take precedence of his ministry work, or that people would think that he was doing it for the money. I don't do this for the money. In fact, I don't get a lot of money for this. I wish I did have some support, but that's okay. God blesses otherwise. But anyway, and then moving on from that, we're going to look at Paul's own journey of how he became more effective. So 1 Corinthians 9. 1 Corinthians 9 will be in verse 19. So 1 Corinthians 9, verse 19. And it says here, 1 Corinthians 9:19. For though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. So Paul, when he served God, he became a servant to man as well, as in ministry. That verse over in Isaiah, but they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up like wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. That's how it goes. But they that wait on the Lord, that means they serve God. And by their service to God gives them strength to carry on. And that's what Paul got from his service. He got strength to carry on, to move forward, to be more effective. But look here, verse 20. And unto the Jews I became a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. Verse 21. To them that are without the law, being not without law to God, but under the law of Christ, that I might gain them that are without the law. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. Look what he says here. This is very important. I made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partakers thereof with you. Paul in his ministry was able to minister to a broad range of people. To be an effective preacher, you need to be able to minister to a broad range of people. If you've never been broke and homeless, you can't fully understand a person that is broke and homeless. There was a very brief time in my life that I was homeless, and a lot of people don't know that. It was back when I was a firefighter. I wasn't making a lot of money. What money I was making, I was blowing on stupid stuff, and I didn't get my rent paid somewhere, and I got kicked out. So for about a month's time period, I would spend a day or two extra at the firehouse when I was a firefighter because I stayed there at nighttime. I'd stay there except other more than just 2 nights, sometimes 3 or 4 nights, and pick up extra shifts. And then on my off days, I would go stay with my mom or my dad in Columbus. Nobody knew I was homeless. I didn't have a home. So there were some times I even slept in my car. So I can understand a person somewhat that is homeless because I was for about a month's period of time. I can understand a person that has addicted to alcohol because even though I wasn't a full blown alcoholic, I was right on the cusp. And I one day realized I had an alcohol problem when I got home from a third shift work night that I had at work, and a fire had come out, but I was sitting there. I got off work and I started drinking because I got to the point I was so tired all the time, but I couldn't sleep. So I would drink some beer before I'd go to sleep. So I had a drinking problem. So I can understand that. I had sin problems that I struggled with a certain kind of sin that I know some preachers struggle with. And I got over it. And I got victory over it. So I can understand different kinds of addictions. Can't understand being rich because I've never been rich. But I've seen the effects of people that had so much money they didn't know what to do with. And at the end of the day, they were miserable. So, with what the Apostle Paul is saying, he became all things. He knew how to minister to Jews, to non Jews, the strong and the very weak. And to be an effective preacher or a missionary or even a Christian that's serving God, you have to be able to understand all those things. I dabbled in some other religions. I became Catholic for 4 years, which has helped me minister to Catholics. My grandparents were Methodist. I know about the Methodist Church, so I can minister to Methodists. I got saved in a holiness church. They didn't, when I was there, attended, they didn't do the tongues or the healing stuff and all that. I think the pastor, that was the pastor there, kind of kept it in check. He was an old Nazarene preacher. What I'm getting at here, all those things that I experienced, God has now used in my life to minister to others. Even the fact that I ended up divorced and remarried has allowed me to help others in the situations that are going through the same thing. I have become all things to all men, that by all means I might save some. When people are out there struggling, sometimes the best people that can minister to them, that is somebody has struggled with them. They've gotten down at the bottom. The Apostle Paul, he had been beaten, he had been spit upon, he had been lied about, he'd been cheated. And all those things that Paul faced, he could have just given up. Said, I'm not doing this anymore. But you know what it did? It strengthened him. If you allow God to minister to you and have others minister to you when you're at your weakest, and you allow that to strengthen you, then God can use that for you to be able to help others as well. Folks, we're in some very perilous times right now, some very dark times in this world. And people are looking for hope. I met a guy after the truck stop last night at Dollar General who got saved the day before the eclipse because he was afraid something bad was about to happen. Hopefully, I get to talk to him more. You never know when God's going to give you an opportunity to minister to folks. Are you able to become all things to all men that by all means you might save some? Remember, it's not you that saves them, it's God. But it's God using you as his vessel. That's all I got for you today. We got just a few more chapters or a few more verses. We're going to be in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. So I hope you have a great day. God bless y'all. Talk to you tomorrow.